Hello friends, good morning. Welcome to my channel Essentials of Management. Friends, motto of this channel is to evolve high standards of education and training of the subject management science in general and that of environment, health and safety management in particular. So friends, in last discourse we discussed about the ecology and the biosphere. So today again we are going to continue with the series of environment management. We will have discourse 4. Again we are continuing with the topic of basic concepts and terminologies. We will have part 4 today. Here we will discuss various nature's cycles. So there are different nature's cycle. Mainly they are 5, that is there is a food chain, there is a nitrogen cycle, there is a carbon cycle, there is a oxygen cycle and there is a water cycle. And all these 5 cycles are very important part of the nature, the environment. It is an entire interrelationship on which all these different cycles are dependent upon. So we will discuss about the food chain first. So every organism need food, where it is a single cell organism or a complex animal like human. The energy necessary for all life processes reaches the earth in the form of sunlight. So which is the original resource for the food? That is sunlight. By photosynthesis, green plants convert the light energy into chemical energy, and carbon dioxide and water are transformed into sugar and stored in the plant. So in the presence of the sunlight, the green leaves of the plants, they have the process of photosynthesis and they convert the light energy into chemical energy, and carbon dioxide from the environment. So they inhale carbon dioxide, they take water from the ground, and the carbon dioxide and water are transformed into sugar and stored in the plant as food. Now herbivorous means those animals who eat plantation. So there are herbivorous animals, there are carnivorous animals like tiger and lion, and there are omnivorous animals which eat the plants as well as the animals like human being. So herbivorous animals acquire some of the stored energy by eating this plant. Those animals in turn serve as food for and so pass the energy to the predatory animals. That means the deer eats grass and tiger eats deer. So the grass is the food of deer and deer is the food of tiger. Such sequence is called as food chain. The overlapping of these food chains forms a food web. So from here we can understand that with the help of water and sunlight, you will find the seeds of the grass grows onto the ground. Then a grasshopper eats grass. The the toad or a frog eats grasshopper. The snake eats the frog, and the snake is eaten by the eagle or the hawk. And when the hawk, which is the at the apex of this food chain, particular food chain, when it excretes its excreta, or when it dies, that excreta or its dead body is decomposed into the earth. So there is a food chain. So this is the single food chain we are discussing about. There are n number of such single food chains. So the things are not so very simple. They are complex. So when we talk of the food web, you can see from this diagram that there are different food chains which are interlinked or which are overlapping. That means the frog, you know, is eaten by the snake, and the hawk or a buzzard eats the snake, right? At the same time, snake eat the small bird, right? And that small bird is eaten by the fox. So you will find there is no presence of the single food chains, means there is the presence of single food chains, but there are different n number of food chains which are interrelated and overlapping. Now, what is the impact of human activity on food chain? Humans can negatively affect the food web in a variety of ways. A few broad categories are overhunting, and it's hunting the animals. If you are hunting on a large scale, that is overhunting, then habitat destructions, pollution, and the introduction of invasive species. So, in say 50 years back, there was a great hunting games which were going on, and many species become extinct because of the overhunting. For example, cheetah from the Indian continent, which disappeared because of overhunting. Now the number of tigers reduced to a very great alarming extent in India because of overhunting. Then there is a habitat destruction. That means there is a deforestation, jungles are being cut, so the habitats of the predators is reducing. Now what is happening today? That all the leopards which are residing in the jungle, as the jungle is contracted and as they don't find food in the jungle because their habitat is destructed, they come to the human settlements. So there's a big problem now that the predators are coming to human settlement. That is because of their habitat destruction. If they have sufficient habitat, a big habitat to live in, they will not come to the human settlement. Then there is the pollution. The water is polluted and land is polluted, and because of that, the food chain is disturbed, and sometimes there is a introduction of invasive species which becomes a danger to the species which are actually habitant of that habitat. Means, say for example, uh, the Congress grass. Now you will find in India the Congress grass is abundantly grown eh, on the open fields. It is an invasive species, and because of that, whatever the grass actually which is eaten by the cattle or the herbivorous animal, that is reducing. So this is the example of the invasive species. So because of the overhunting, habitat destruction, pollution, and introduction of invasive species, there is an impact on the food chain. So hunting, fishing, whaling have brought parallel losses of large apex predators to food webs. As I said, the cheetah is extinct. The number of tigers have alarmingly fallen down. So without apex predators, smaller macro predators have often become super abundant. Means if the number of tigers have reduced, you will find that there will be abundance of the other animals like deer or other small animals which are eaten by the tiger or the apex predator like eagle or hawk. What will happen? The micro predators will become super abundant, so their number will increase, and because of that there will be food scarcity for them, right? And if the deers are extinct, the tigers will be in danger, as because they are dependent on each other. So if tigers reduced, there is a abundance of deers. If the deers reduced, there is a problem to the tigers because they don't get the food. So sometimes with unprecedented suppression of their prey, extinction and endangerment. For example, many species of vultures are endangered, who are the main scavengers in the nature. See, vultures do the very big tasks or important tasks in the natures as scavengers, and as because the vultures numbers have reduced to almost a very great extent, because of that the carcasses of the dead animals are not being disposed naturally. Now, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen cycle. So, other three cycles. There is a water cycle also, a biogeochemical cycle. So, it is a biocycle as well as chemical. So, it is a combination of bio and chemicals. A biogeochemical cycle or an inorganic organic cycle is a circulating or repeatable pathway by which either a chemical element or a molecule moves from both, that is biotic, that is biosphere, and abiotic, that is lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. So it is an exchange of the chemical elements and molecule between the biotic world and the abiotic world, or the biotic component or the abiotic component of an ecosystem. The chemical materials extracted from the environment and elaborated into living tissues by plants and animals are continually recycled within the ecosystem by such processes as photosynthesis, respiration, by which an organism exchange gases with the environment. So, as I said again, there is an exchange between the animals and plants and the environment. So, there is an exchange of gases. These natural processes of withdrawing and returning materials are variously called as carbon, the oxygen cycle and the nitrogen cycle, because they are in a gaseous conditions. So what is nitrogen cycle? Nitrogen cycle is a biogeochemical process which transforms the inert nitrogen present in the atmosphere. So nitrogen is abundantly present in the atmosphere, as you know. So the nitrogen present in the atmosphere to a more usable form for living organisms. So furthermore, the nitrogen is a key nutrient element for the plants. However, the abundant nitrogen in the atmosphere cannot be used directly by plants and animals. So this is because that nitrogen is inert, and though it is required by the plants and animals, it cannot be directly used. So that has to be converted into some other form. So the steps which are not altogether sequential fall into the following classification. So the first process by which nitrogen become useful or a nutrient element for the plants and animals is the nitrogen fixation, nitrogen assimilation, ammonification, nitrification and denitrification. Friends, we will not go into the all chemistry. It's very complex chemistry, and so we will just try to know. So there are these different steps. They are nitrogen fixation, nitrogen assimilation, ammonification, nitrification and denitrification. With the help of this diagram, again in short, we will try to understand how is the natural cycle. So there is an abundance of nitrogen gas into the atmosphere. Now there are certain microorganisms in the soil which convert nitrogen into ammonia, that is NH3. So there are different colonies or the nodes on the roots of various plants, for example, groundnut, plant. So they make the colonies there and they absorb the nitrogen from the environment and make it or convert it into NH3, which is then converted by the other type of bacteria. They are called as the nitrifying bacteria. It is converted into NO3, and that NO3 is assimilated through the groundwater by the roots of the trees, which is absorbed. So by that way the plants get the nitrogen. And there are again certain bacteria which denitrify this NO3, and again N2 is released into the atmosphere, right? So there is a poo of the animals or the excreta of the animal. Again, there is a ammonification process by which NH4 is created. From NH4, NO2 is created, and NO2 with the nitrifying process is converted into the NO3. And with the help of the lightning, the atmospheric nitrogens get converted into NO3 and dissolved into the rainwater and get absorbed into the soil. So in short, this is a nitrogen cycle. Now, what is the impact of human activity on nitrogen cycle? Since the mid 1900, humans have been exerting an ever increasing impact on the global nitrogen cycle. Human activities such as making fertilizers and burning fossil fuels have significantly altered the amount of fixed nitrogen in the Earth's ecosystem. Right? So we are using the fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, we are burning fossil fuels in our vehicles, and so we are altering the amount of fixed nitrogen in the Earth ecosystem. In fact, some predicts that by 2030, the amount of nitrogen fixed by human activities will exceed that is fixed by the microbial process. So what is the natural microbial process of the nature, which fixes a certain amount of nitrogen? The nitrogen fixation by human activities will be more than that. So it will increase the amount of nitrogen. Increase in available nitrogen can alter ecosystem by increasing primary productivity and impacting the carbon storage. So this is a great impact of human activity on nitrogen cycle. Our activity is disturbing the nature's nitrogen cycle. Now, what is carbon cycle? The carbon cycle describes the process in which carbon atoms continually travel from the atmosphere to the earth and then back into the atmosphere. Since our planet and its atmosphere form a closed environment, the amount of carbon in this system does not change. The sum total of carbon remains same. Please try to understand all the organic matter, including plants and the different animals. They have essentially a component carbon because they are made up of organic matters, and sum total of carbon remains same because entire environment which we have on the earth, it is a closed environment, so there is nothing coming from outside extraterrestrial. Whatever is there existing in mother nature or mother earth remains the same, only the form changes. What are the four steps of the carbon cycle? Carbon enters the atmosphere as CO2. So there is a presence of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. CO2 is absorbed by autotrophs such as green plants. We know that green plants inhale carbon dioxide, and with the help of photosynthesis, they convert the carbon dioxide and water into their food, that is glucose and different sugars. Animals consume plants, thereby incorporating carbon into the system. Animals and plants die, their bodies decompose, and carbon is reabsorbed back into the atmosphere. So again, this is a diagram of the carbon cycle. So with the help of the sunlight, the plants do the photosynthesis. Then there is a decaying of the organism by which the carbon again gets mixed up into the soil, and the because of the photosynthesis process, the plant inhale CO2 and exhale O2, so that organic carbon is absorbed into the soil also, and the dead organism and waste products, they decompose and they release the carbon element, and they may be get converted into fossils and fossil fuels because of the different uh, geological activities. Now the there is a plant respiration, as we say. I said that they inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen, and there is a human activity. So there are factory emissions by which the carbon dioxide is given out into the atmosphere. So this cycle again continues, and because of this cycle, the sum total of carbon remains same. But we are disturbing the carbon cycle also. How? What is the impact of human activity on carbon cycle? So human activities have tremendous impact on the carbon cycle, particularly burning fossil fuels, changing land use, and using limestone to make concrete. All transfer cement industries, all transferred significant quantities of carbon into the atmosphere. So amount of CO2, which is a greenhouse gas, is increasing than the levels which were there before the industrial activity. So it is an alarming stage now that the CO2 has increased to a very great extent into the atmosphere, and it is causing the global warming and the climate change. Human influence on the carbon cycle results in an increased greenhouse effect, which in turn drives climate change. So friends, we have seen three cycles in this discourse. First, we saw about food chain, then we discussed about the nitrogen cycle, and we discussed about the carbon cycle. In the next discourse, we will discuss about the oxygen cycle and the water cycle. So friends, thank you for watching this video. Please resume viewing, switch on to discourse 4, 5, and as I said, there we'll discuss these two remaining cycles. Friends, please do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day.